Hi, everyone, and welcome to this wealthmanagement.com Fast Chat. I'm Shannon Rossick, and today I am just thrilled to be joined by Sheila Cuffari-Agasi, Executive Vice President and Chief Revenue Officer at United Planners, an independent broker-dealer that is truly redefining what it means to partner with financial advisors. So in this conversation, we'll explore how United Planners culture is its secret weapon and one that drives real advisor success, community, and unmatched service. So let's dive right in. Sheila, thanks so much for joining me.
Thank you so much for having me, Shannon. It's wonderful to be here and great to see you.
Well, Sheila, let's start with the big question because culture is clearly a huge differentiator at United Planners. And you've coined a term that I absolutely love, which is a kick-ass culture. So what does that mean to you and how does it show up in the everyday advisor experience?
It really just starts with loving what you do, right? Being very passionate about, the product and the services that you provide. And when you're doing business with people that you truly admire, that you respect and that you enjoy, you want to go to, the nth degree to satisfy their needs and really help them fulfill their mission. So, we're working with advisors that we respect, that we like, that are our friends, that are part of our family. And so, when you start with the right people, then you're really able to just perform a function of your job that's not. It doesn't feel like a job. You get to go to work with your friends, and so that's really kind of the nuts and bolts around the culture of the firm is working with people that you enjoy, that you really like, and getting rid of the ones that you don't. So.
That's completely fair. And I want to get under the hood a little bit more. Your team published a white paper called In Search of the Ideal Firm. Could you just share some of the biggest takeaways from that research?
Sure. Yeah. The idea of the white paper was really just to help educate advisors when they're going to do due diligence on firms. Sometimes they get a little, caught up in the smoke and mirrors of things, or they'll ask questions and they're dealing with recruiters that don't hold themselves to the same fiduciary standard that an advisor must. So it lacks disclosure. Well, let me give you that answer, but let me, expand upon that a little bit and share the why, or, some of the real meat that's important to the advisor who's making a decision. One of the things that we did here at United Planners is stop calling our recruiters. I think of that as kind of a dirty word. It's a salesperson, that's just trying to make the sale. Whereas at United Planners, they're partner development consultants. They're here to consult with you on your business and understand, are we a good fit? The last thing we want is an advisor to join the firm and be disgruntled or be upset once they got here. Or, if there was a lack of full disclosure at some point, that does not set the relationship off on the right term. So, we really want to dive into the nitty gritty details and consult all the way through, truly understand the advisor's business and how that relates to how they would do business at United Planners. So there are no surprises. So the purpose of that white paper was really to help educate advisors. We know not every advisor is right for our firm, but while they're out doing their due diligence and research, we want to help people and through that, educate them on some of the questions that they should be asking when they're going through that due diligence process with other firms. So that's really the crux of the white paper, is helping advisors. They shouldn't have to do this very often, and therefore, really help coach and guide them, through some of the key questions and takeaways and deep level questions that they should be asking.
Let's stick on this idea of partners, though, because United Planners has a very unique structural model where advisors are treated as partners instead of clients. So, how does that impact things like collaboration, service, and long-term loyalty?
Yeah, great questions. So, again, our structure, which was formed back in 1987, is unlike any other firm in the industry today. 55% of the firm's profits go right back to those advisors who qualify as limited partners. So that said, other firms with your traditional standard corporate pyramids are really there, to feed the top of the organization. And a lot of the decisions then get made often by board members, or, a back office that's never really been in the retail side. At United Planners, we've partnered with our advisors in every sense of the word, in that, we're truly understanding their engagements with clients And our focus then can be on how we make them more efficient. Because, if they're more efficient at doing their jobs, they're more compliant. If they're more compliant, obviously the back office is very happy. So this culture of compliance really comes from how do we make the advisors more efficient when we're doing business with the right people who we know are very passionate about their clients and doing the right thing. Then if we can empower them to be more efficient, they're happier and they enjoy working with the back office. They enjoy, working with the people that are really there to support them and to support their business and to support their objectives. So it's just kind of a different mindset. A lot of us have been affiliated with other larger firms over the years and have seen, how that cultural shift has occurred where, the back office conversations are really all about how do we make ourselves more efficient? How do we cut a corner here or squeeze another penny out of this platform or another nickel onto that platform? And those just aren't the conversations that we're having at United Planners. It's, how can we make the advisor more efficient? Because at the end of the day, it doesn't make sense to charge them and their clients more just to turn around and give them back 55 cents out of every dollar. So it really is about creating efficiencies and, allowing them to be compliant in the most efficient ways.
And you've already alluded to it because I know you're very selective about who actually joins the firm. So, what makes someone a great cultural fit for United Planners? And I have to ask, because I know you have a very clear policy that you call the no asshole policy. So, how has that shaped your culture as well?
Well, I think that says a lot, right? Literally a no asshole policy. So anybody who's going to, be in the business for the wrong reason, just is not a good fit for our firm. There has to be a deep rooted level of trust. And, when you get off the phone with somebody smiling, you feel that throughout your day. In terms of the right fit for the firm, not everybody has to be a jokester. They don't all have to tell us jokes and make us laugh all day, but, it really is about being in the business for the right reason. And when you're passionate about your clients and you really care about people, it just comes across in everything that you do. And when you feel like your back office is on the same side of the table as you're being supported by the back office, it puts us all on the same team. Our job is to help keep advisors out of trouble. Sometimes advisors have ideas, sometimes they're really good ideas, and sometimes they're crazy ideas. And we're willing to hear all of those ideas. And some of the larger firms, unfortunately, they're forced to deal with managing to the lowest common denominator. And we just never want to be that firm. We want to hear everybody as an individual, hear them out. And sometimes the answer has to be no. That we have that culture of compliance, but we'll hear you out and we'll try to find a way, if there is a way to remain compliant and to do the things that the advisor would like to do, then, we're all in. We want to be there and help support that advisor. So having an advisor that really values the partnership, that, is in the business for the right reasons, is growth minded, is fully committed to the business. Those are the right advisors for our firm.
And one thing that I just love about United Planners, because I've gotten to see this firsthand and hear stories, but you do an incredible job of celebrating advisor wins and also showing up during the difficult times, both professionally and personally. So do you have any stories that you could share that maybe captures the heart of that whole, what you like to call as the give a damn mindset at United Planners?
Well, there are so many, and I know we don't have a ton of time here today, but I'll use continuity and succession planning. Is one of those examples. Again, there are a lot of firms. We could do what other firms are doing, and we decide to think out of the box and be a little bit different. And again, when you truly care about people, you do what's right, and it's not about the money. The money comes, right? There's a lot of different ways to make a living in this business, and when you do the right thing for people, then the compensation takes care of itself. But we have had advisors, that have become ill. We have had advisors that have passed away. And in those instances, we've been able to find another advisor to come in, take over the practice, and pay the beneficiaries, the spouse of the deceased advisor, for example, or come in and take over for the advisor while they, were able to seek the care and the treatment that they needed during a really difficult time in their lives. And that just, broadens the sense of community that we have within United Planners, where we're looking out for each other. We care about each other like family. We go to bat for each other, and we stand with each other through the good times and the bad. So celebrating those little wins and taking those examples and really just treating every single person the way that you would want to be treated 100% of the time is really the foundation and the crux of kind of the policy and who we are to our core.
And I know how important it is to build community within United Planners, and you host an annual shindig, which is obviously more than just a party. It goes back to that whole community building experience. So how do events like that really reinforce your culture of collaboration?
Sure. So annual conferences with advisors are one thing, and I call them homecomings, right? Or family reunions. I mean, there is just so much high fiving and hugging that's happening. Obviously, educational events and really tailoring that education to what the advisors want. This is not, just these are the sponsors that paid to be here, or go listen to, this commentary, but rather soliciting feedback. What do you guys want to learn more? What's going to enhance your practice and your value proposition to your clients? So we make sure to focus, at our annual conference, that type of commentary and education and collaboration. And then, for Shindig, which is something that you're actually going to be joining us at this year, Shannon. I am so excited about that.
You do.
That is an employee retreat. So our CEO at one point was our CFO and a staffer accountant with the firm going back 28 years ago, and said, gosh, it seems really cool that, the executives get to travel. And listen, if you're on the travel circuit, it's not as glamorous as it might seem from the outside. However, he said, someday when I'm CEO, I want all the employees to be able to, attend an event and really take that opportunity to see something new, to, communicate, collaborate. And we use these opportunities for team building and really reinforcing, who we are, what we do, why our roles are so important. Because sometimes, with these larger organizations, and United Planners is officially a large broker dealer with roughly 500 advisors, 85 back office employees, 200 million now. We've crossed the marker in terms of revenue. It's hard to maintain that culture and make sure that, everybody's beating to the same drum and working in the same direction. And so these opportunities are times that we can get the employees together and get us high-fiving and celebrating and, really reinforcing who we are, who we want to be, and how we can continue to strive to be better. Because that is all part of the culture as well. Is, yesterday was great, but tomorrow's going to be better. And every single day we can get a little bit better. And through these types of events, that's how we can achieve that great success.
And obviously, it's just so clear that the way you talk about culture, it's more than lip service. You all truly live and breathe it at United Planners. So just to take it all home for us, Sheila, what would you say to advisors who are exploring a new home and want more than just a back office relationship?
Yeah, I just say, there's a lot of status quo out there, and unfortunately, it's becoming more and more commonplace, and we're seeing that, across the industry. Unfortunately, there's been a lot of ownership that has come into our industry that doesn't truly understand what it is that we do and how we serve. And at the end of the day, this is a relationship business. So for those that might be a little discouraged that, we've lost sight of the way that, things are supposed to be, I will tell you that there are still quite a few firms out there that, practice what they preach and have a great culture, a great, relationship with their advisors and really work hard to, please the advisor, support the advisor. So, if there are folks out there looking for a new home and didn't think that we existed, well, I can tell you that we do. And, call us. We're located in Scottsdale, Arizona, and it's a great place to come visit. You can come experience firsthand. So give us a call. We'd love to have an in-depth conversation and really tailor that specifically to the advisor. Again, we're not right for everybody, but with our partner development consultants, they'll, have that in-depth conversation with you, understand your business, and help you get down to brass tacks pretty quickly, whether, we're going to be a good fit or not.
Well, Sheila, thank you so much for sharing and giving us a look behind the scenes at United Planners. And for those watching, if you're an advisor looking for a firm that truly treats you like a partner, not just a number, definitely take a closer look at United Planners. And thank you so much for tuning in to this Fast Chat.
Appreciate it, Shannon. Always nice to see you. Thanks.